and all back to War City. Back to the role-playing channel with War City, and I'm going to go ahead and be covering the 500-player map, and this is going to be the quick version because the first one was, well, a little out of control. But basically what happened, long story short, and, actually I should probably go over a few things. This is the Age of Redemption, the first 500-player RP, and what happened was a war between the EUF, which is the militarized form of the EU, Russia, and America broke out. It started off with the U.S. super aircraft carrier Hampton being sunk just off the coast of Sicily by the Italians. At the time, the captain was compromised and planted an explosive near the nuclear reactor of the carrier. The Italians reacted. They launched missiles and destroyed that. Same time, same terrorist group responsible for the incident also attacked the Sicily base, causing an international incident. During the peace talks, the Russian and the Chinese diplomat were shot by a Secret Service agent in the U.S., and that caused a three-way war between them all, and it was off. The entire world started killing each other. However, they avoided nuclear catastrophe till the year June 6, 2066. After the bombs fell, everyone fell into shelters and things of that sort. After that, things went on. People survived. They made it one way or another, and the year is now 2150 when the RP starts and everyone starts emerging and rebuilding society. Now, the nice thing about this RP is you can be anything you want to be. You can be a corrupt dictatorship. You can create a democracy in the new world. You can be a pirate. You can be a raider group. It is up to you. Some major things about this game, mechanic-wise, is there's admin strikes if you do break the rules. Now, please know, only I can authorize these, and it is extremely unlikely that I will have to authorize these. These are my last step. I've only had to use it once, and hopefully that stays the same. For mild rule breaks, there might be a fine. I will be the one that decides the amount, but some general amounts are listed here in the forum if you want to take a look. But please remember, it's all based on circumstance, and I will be the one to determine that. There's also a province limit to make sure that there's at least a few superpowers to keep things interesting, but also to make sure that they don't get too out of control. What this means is that once you reach a certain point, you will be unable to expand further. If you go over this limit, you will be subject to a fine. And if you keep doing it, you may be subject to an admin strike, depending on severity. There will be colonies in this game. Anything in the southern hemisphere is considered a colony below this line right here. Let's go ahead and open up a bigger image so you can get a better view. There we go. So anything below this line is a colony. Due to the laws of thermodynamics, everyone knows that hot goes to cold and cold goes to hot. And most of the nuclear warheads landed in the north, meaning that this area was very hot, it was very cold down here. So what happened was the air went from north to south and south to north, resulting in a large amount of the radiation being settled in the southern hemisphere, with the dust particles and so on and so forth. After that, basically what happened was this became habitable, breathable, safe sooner than the southern half of the world. There's also ability for landlocked colony support. So basically what you do is you'll send me a notification saying, hey, this is what I want to do, this is how I'm going to RP it, and you'll give me 150 or 200,000 silver, and in return I'll give you units in that region as well as one province, and establish your first colony in the region that you would desire. That's unlocked. As for rules, pretty simple. No gold mark, follow the PvP rules, post it at least once a day if possible. Basically just post as often as you can. Every other day is okay. If you do not post in 5 days in a row a decent length article, like 500 words or so, and do not notify the admin, you'll basically not receive any kind of admin protection, or I will determine the level that you get. If the main admin asks you to give you share map for a rule breach, you're required to do so. This is just in case someone's breaking rules or there's record violations. This is just so I can check and make sure you aren't doing anything funky. I won't tell it to anyone. I'll keep it secret, keep it confidential. Please do your best to use proper grammar and spelling. Be respectful to other players in game. No, see articles in the DE if you have problems with the game. Ask one of the game admins, and they'll do the best to address the issue. Change your flag and picture with something post-apocalyptic in nature. No trolling. In the event of trolling, an admin strike may be authorized. You must stay within the province limit, or the admins have permission to authorize an admin strike. Again, only I can authorize it, and I will first fine and warn. You may not RP other players' characters and units without permission. Communists, be reasonable. Please don't just go Gotsky, left and right, because that's not good RP at all. No invading in hospitable lands/colonies until they're authorized by the main admin. If you invade one, the admin strike may be authorized. If you refuse to cooperate. If you go over the province limit, you have 48 hours to get rid of the province before the admin strike can be initialized. This is the final stage, and only if it goes into great detail and problems have occurred, first you'll be fined and warned again. No capital rating without posting for each and every capital. Do not use game exploits like stack splitting. It makes a little sense in the game, RP wise. Naval units cannot have meat shields, with the exception of transportation for morale purposes from one region of the world to another. If you break the rules, you might be subject to a fine and be paid by the admin, but depending on the severity of the breach, the admin will determine the amount of the fine and the severity. If no articles are posted for 7 days straight, a PvP cleanup team will join their game to finish the game and take the load off the server so it is not loaded and the resources can go to new games. And last but not least, have fun and enjoy. Some general guidelines for this is population equals 1% of what your population is on your screen. Now, I'm not going to be super strict on this. This is a general guideline. This is a general good rule of thumb. This does not apply everywhere. There are regions that are going to explode population-wise, while places like the Sahara are going to be a little bit slower to get people. See here, in some technology developed during the war, submerged boarding craft. Basically, these just punctured a hole in the ship and then welded themselves to it, concealing the hole, and put a squad of soldiers on the ship to capture it, because ships were worth their weight in gold at the end of the war because they needed them, but there were not very many left. Vehicle class reactive armor. This is something that already exists. Most of them are point defense systems. Basically, the idea is to stop the round before it hits the tank in the first place. This could be via laser, could be by a smaller missile, it could be via a minigun, it could be any way to basically stop a round before it hits the tank. Infantry reactive armor, the basic idea behind this is that it reacts to it in some way. A good example is going to be the German Kevlar 2 or Kevlar Mark II armor, which is basically a thin layer of Kevlar, and underneath that there's a liquid coating that's magnetically sensitive. And what happens is when a round hits it, it's slowed down by the Kevlar, and then when it reaches the gel beneath, the magnetic charge in there basically will make it so that it condenses, stops the bullet cold, and if it does manage to puncture and get all the way through, it will apply medicine to the wound to stop the bleeding and keep the person alive until help can reach them, as long as it's not life critical. Mechanized combat suits. These are basically combat suits. These are basically exoskeletons, big old things. Think of Avatar. Basically, don't think Gundam. These are realistic ones that would have possibility of existing sooner rather than later. Best example is going to be Avatar Pandora. On Pandora, what the Marines use to attack the natives. I do apologize, I forget what the natives are called because I am tired. There's also geostabilized turrets, kind of like you'd see in the Division, where they throw them down and they'll defend the area, so on and so forth. There are also bigger versions that are used to defend bases, so on and so forth. These are in existence today, are being tested. Railguns, basically, they use a magnetic charge instead of gunpowder and explosive charge to propel around. There's also drop pods, although do not use these in game. There will be an event that involves these these were used in limited capacity during the war. Virtual and artificial intelligence, these were invented and used in the late stages of the war as well to do calculating and basically things that, well, they were running out of people to do, or the people with the degrees to do, so, well, they invented these. And the first computer has passed an awareness test in Japan. Hooray. In the real world. Every day equals 3 months. Resources, food, grains stay the same. Fish the same, though they might have 2 to 4 heads nowadays. Materials, lumber is lumber. Iron is a mix of metals because not everyone has iron. Energy is coal. It's coal still. Oil is almost extinct. Now it's synthetic oil. I know, small change, but it's a change. And gasoline is biofuel. Because real gasoline is made with oil. Mercenaries are allowed, people are allowed to sell them, so on and so forth. Now here's something that's a little bit unique about this game. So people always try to say they have the biggest, baddest ship. So this time I've actually come out with a system for it. You want to say you have the biggest, baddest ship? Well, time to prove it. For an escort carrier, what you're going to do is you're going to make 2 parts. 2 battleships. You're going to make one that's named, like, for example, from the NGRN, New German Republic Navy, Forscher. Hull, that's going to be one part of it. And then the NGRN Forscher flight deck. And that's going to create the escort carrier. Petroleum battleship, which is basically a railgun battleship, is 3 parts. It would be like the NGRN, Soldaten railgun, Soldaten hull, and Soldaten command deck. And that'll make up that ship. Aircraft carrier is going to be 4 parts. It's a hull, a flight deck, a tower, and a catapult. SBC carrier, which is a submerged boarding craft carrier, is 5 parts. It's a hull, SBC with launch port, command deck, air command and control deck, fire deck, and radar and sonar deck. And last but not least, the super heavy carrier or other super class vessel, basically a very, very large ship. These can be as many parts as you want them to be. It's going to, if you want, it can be 100 parts. It's going to take a long time to build it, but that's up to you if you want to do that. And it's going to be just 6 parts or more. Events, I'm going to come out with events each and every day. It can range from daily resource find, where I'll give the player 5,000 resources. It could be a story event that'll affect a region, or it could be a global event that affects every single player in the game. So frequently asked questions, why do people have a province limit? It's so that we can have, there are no set superpowers, so this is basically so that there's a limit so the superpowers can't get too OP, but you can also have a little bit of diligence. There's a little bit of protection there, which is good. The game is a post-apocalyptic setting because 500 is a mess and an Ellis would kill any kind of other game on a 500-player map. Why do we have near-future technology in the game? Well, it helps you create your own unique faction, your own unique people, let you make you. Last but not least, the RPU chat is moderated by the RPU. The Skype chat is moderated by the RPU. Just, this is not us taking over. It's just, we want to keep the chat clean, and we have the people to do it. So that's what we do it. We link the rules in. They're pretty simple. Just no swearing. Keep swearing to a minimum. Be polite. Be courteous. Don't attack other people. It's the pretty basic stuff. Common stuff. And then below that, it's just this little application. All you do, just do copy, paste, and pick one of these. Do. And then when it's all said and done, it's going to look a little something like this. Now, please note, you don't have to do what I call a country profile, which lists what each of these would quote to, because you do not have 1,000-man infantry regiments anymore. But that is up to you. Preferably, I do need a sample article. Preferably, the article will be about your country, as it is in the game, and that's about it. Once again, thank you for visiting the channel. Remember to like and subscribe, and I hope you all have a nice rest of your evening.